Hi, I'm Maya Vitarani, and on this episode of Almost 107, we'll be talking to Abby Leon and Javier Gomez, the founder of Unplugged. To start off, I asked one of my friends to challenge herself and unplug from technology while doing something she's scared of, and see how dependent we have become on technology, and what life looks like without it.
This is Almost 107, a Fanshawe College journalism student podcast. Get real.
Okay, so without further ado, let's jump right in and see how she did.
I feel like this challenge could be a little bit hard for me because I like to have my friends around all the time. I like to feel there's people that I can count with when I need it. I'm someone who grew up having their family and friends around when I was at school or when I was at home. There was always someone with me, so I feel like doing stuff by my own, it's fine, but it could feel weird at some point. To the mall, and it's kind of a little weird because the mall is the place where you usually hang out with your friends, and yeah, so. And it's also really weird because recording myself with a microphone and then being all alone is just like people staring at me. Maybe that's kind of like an insecurity, but we're here to make this happen. Not gonna lie, it's been a little weird just walking around, not having my friends with me, but it's fine. It's just something I needed to experience, and maybe at some point everyone has to experience that. It's all nice, all good. I went to the mall, and at first I was not nervous. Then when I was like walking around the mall with my phone in my hand, recording myself, I felt a little shy, and maybe like I felt like people were looking at me. And then when I was going to stores and just looking around, it felt weird because you always have a friend with you, so you can be like, oh, look at this, or just what do you think about this? So it felt like a little intimidating just to be all by myself, but I tried to make it work. Being alone is not always bad or scary as much people will think it is, because I felt like I needed that time for me. I feel like I'm always around with friends and never have the chance to just be alone and have like me time. And I feel like that was really nice because after that I went to grab coffee at the mall, and it was really nice just to walk around, think and stuff. I haven't had a chance to think about it, and I feel like it was not that bad doing something like going to the mall by myself. I'm not sure how often I will like do this, but I feel like I could do it again. I feel like once in a while it will be nice to just go somewhere by myself and have me time. So yeah, I think I will do it again.
Next, I talked to Javier Gomez. Javier founded a company called Unplugged, which focused on building opportunity for social connections without the use of technology.
So then, could you talk a bit about what is Unplug? Why did you start it?
The reason why I started is because I realized that I was screens were taking a lot of time out of my life. Regularly, I used to have like at the end of the day an average of 4 hours of screen time, and I thought that that was too much. And one day, Laura, my wife, she showed me a new Instagram account that started in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, that was all about unplugging. Like the account is it's called the Offline Club, and in a couple of weeks, one of their stories became viral, and they got like more than 30 million reproductions. And I got inspired and got inspired by them. And as soon as I saw it, I thought it was a great idea. And I went to talk with my friend Nick. And I tried to open his mind about the opportunities that Toronto brings as a city to this kind of events, because even though I am from another country, I'm an immigrant in Canada. I feel like sometimes Canadians itself are the people who are more desperate for getting to know new people, because for us, the immigrants is maybe in our bloods. It's easier to try to find new people because we are needed of networking. And I thought it was a very good idea, like to create these kind of events for people who are in the same mindset. For example, past year in 2024, since the beginning of the year, I wanted to do like more uh, focus more on my own health. So I started waking up very early in the morning, doing meditation, doing yoga for the first time in my life. After my yoga exercise, I was doing a cold shower every day. And the only thing that I was feeling that it was retaining me for improving myself was probably to be stuck on the screen for too many hours, like 4 to 5 hours a day. And before we started doing the events, I challenged myself to try to get those numbers down, and, and do no more of 2 hours a day of screen time. Um,
Yeah, of
yeah.
course. So what exactly happens at these unplug events? If you could give me a rundown through of like
Yeah.
how would you explain it to someone that's never been to one of these events?
Yeah, so the core of the events were about trying to get the people to do things together. So Nick brought his origami game. I was bringing board table games, card games, and also trying to get the people to read and write about their experiences. And all the time when the people were joining the event, we were trying everybody to get in time, but it was kind of difficult. So we had a box with a hole in the middle, and people needed to put their phones inside the box. And we were giving it back after the event. So for the 2 hours of the 2 hours duration of the event, they were uh, like without their phones on their head and in their hands during the whole event.
Yeah. Do you think that was a scary experience for people? Do you think people were nervous to like
At
be
the beginning, yes, because they weren't like confused about what the event was about. Because mm, for the first event, for example, most of the people that joined us were people that we know, friends or my wife or Nick's wife. So maybe out of 20 people, only two were new and they didn't know each other. And at the beginning, they were kind of afraid, but what I did was trying to push them to do a board game along with others, or try to communicate. Or I was approaching them and talking about, hey, so what are you doing? What did you came to the event? How do you find it? Trying to bring a conversation to the table,
yeah.
which is the
So
easiest way.
is it more of almost a cultural thing? Do you think it's easier for some people to socialize? Because a lot of these like immigrants that you said are coming here and they're helping find jobs, they must have a tough time, they don't know anybody in the city, and how are they making connections?
Mm. I mean, it's a cultural theme, but I believe that Canada, for example, one of the uh, problems it might have is also like the weather, like getting this dark at 4 p.m. Doesn't encourage people to leave their house after work. You feel more tired, you feel anxious about getting back home and prepare dinner, and you know that it's already dark. Like it's dark when you leave the house and it's dark when you're back. So that doesn't like motivate you to actually do stuff after work. For example, I'm from Spain, and doesn't matter what day of the year it is. Like you know that you are gonna go out and you will see people on the streets and people on the bars sharing a drink all together, and groups of 9, 10 people. It's different. It's probably a cultural thing, but not only cultural, but geographical. The weather plays a good part of it,
Yeah, of
probably.
course. So then if somebody wanted to make more of an effort to disconnect and unplug on their daily life and maybe even learn to be alone or learn how to socialize, what kind of advice would you give them for starting if they're afraid?
First thing is to challenge themselves to lower their screen time. What I did for that, it was to set an app on my principal screen. With the time I use the the screen, and also every time that I unlock the screen, I had that information. So when I was seeing that it was way too high, I was trying to stop. That's for the unplug, like necessity of being away of your phone. To socialize, I don't know what would I recommend. Like, uh, what would you do?
Me?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I mean, like that's so, as I said, like I found that challenging yourself and doing something you're scared of. Like I have so many friends that always tell me I'm afraid of being alone or I can never do this alone or just in general, like even when I go to bars and clubs, um,
Mhm.
I don't drink. So I have a lot of friends that are like, how are you partying right now when you're not drinking? I'm like, because I like to be in my own head and I like to be by myself. And I think once you can do that alone in your room, you can do that anywhere and you feel more connected and you don't need distractions like technology and drugs and alcohol
I mean,
constantly.
I think that the what is very important is to know yourself,
Hmm.
like know your limits, know what you like to do and what you don't like to do, so you don't feel pushed about doing anything that you don't like.
Hmm.
And once you know yourself, this is like an introspective exercise, or this is something you can do with a professional. Like it's always recommendable to have someone that can help you to know you better. Once you know this, and you are secure about why are you afraid about doing things, try to embrace those fears and face them.
Yeah.
And to face them, I mean, you have many tools to search
Hmm.
what can you do in order to really go and act.
Yeah.
Like, but the
But
first thing you need to do is to know yourself.
yeah. But do you think you have this negative opinion about technology maybe because you weren't raised with it? Like we're coming from two very different generations. My generation was raised with technology, and
Mhm.
compared to like yours, like I remember when my mom got a BlackBerry for her first time and she hated
Yeah,
it because she's didn't grow up with that in her, in her
absolutely.
culture.
Yeah, no, no, that's a point. That's for
Hmm.
sure a point because uh, I started using WhatsApp when I was 23 or 24 years old. I don't know, maybe 22. I don't remember exactly, but before WhatsApp, interaction between each other was totally different. Like we still have Facebook, or maybe in Spain we have a social media called 2020, and it was more about posting a photo or a picture with a little description of the photo and sharing it with your friends, but not it was not as immersive as is as today. Like I mean, it's affecting to any scale right now to any age. Like even for newborns,
Hmm.
like the new like some content creators company are focusing on trying to bring their attention to a like they're creating YouTube videos for ages from 8 months to 2 years. That the only intention is to catch their attention. The only intention they have is to catch their attention every second. Like, and we're getting too deep into this matter, but yeah, like you're totally right. Like culturally, my generation grew in a different ambience
Mhm.
where we were more about doing things together physically instead of being attached to a screen all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
good.
what do you think the future kind of looks like, or what efforts, like you said, you mentioned you have a kid on the way. So, what are the efforts you will make in order to, I guess, make sure your child isn't plugged into their phone
But then,
24/7?
like for me, it's important for the future of my kids to feel present. Like I don't want to judge anybody by
Mhm.
this podcast, but when I see like a couple on like a couple together in a club or in a pub, and they are sharing their time because is what that you're doing at the end is you're sharing with your time with other person. I will try to be present. Like I don't want to miss the opportunity of sharing time with the newborn, with the kid.
Last question, just to wrap up this interview. Are you afraid of being alone? And is it scary for you to put down your phone?
No, no, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of being alone. Like sometimes I miss being alone because I enjoy being by myself. Sometimes when you are very actively socially
Mhm.
active, you miss time for yourself. Like to focus on maybe do your tasks or your errands or your chores or even going to the gym. When you focus a lot in other people and you forget about yourself,
Mhm.
that's a problem also.
Mhm.
Like not having time for yourself or for being alone, it might be scary as well. Like you need that time also.
Yeah.
So no, I'm never afraid of being alone. I mean, I've never been alone longer than a couple of months, so that's probably right.
After seeing how Abby challenged herself and talking to Javier about why people are afraid of unplugging, I now have a better idea about how to survive singularity in a technological age. Thank you for listening. I'm Maya Mitrani. For other episodes of Almost 107, go to wherever you get your podcasts or 106.9 but X.